Red Dust, Part 4, Visitors, Chapter 14, Not Mars, Earth.
The missiles had been detected by the Ashiek-Tuinkai vessel at their very launch, and their burst signatures laced with human engineering told them more than any probe could have. Not just life, not just technology, capability, coordination, intent. A council convened in a chamber of cold light. "We were headed for the fourth world known as Mars," said Commander Archelia Vorn. "To confirm, to observe, to pass judgment as protocol demands." A band of light along the far wall rippled assent. "But now the third planet from the central star has made itself known," she continued. "They have initiated what appears to be their best defense in order to avert what to them is the certain annihilation of Mars." She let the thought settle. In all our billion-year history, we have never encountered this kind of foolhardy determination from one world in behalf of another. But there are certain other complexities. A search of our deep archive database links the original transmission that brought us to this system with a Kai-class colonization vessel, specifically the Oshur Kai. That ship supposedly entered this system, bound from Mars over 5 billion Mars revolutions ago, and then promptly disappeared. The room gasped. "And yet," Commander Archelia Vorn continued, "the transmission we intercepted coming from the Oshur Kai was only sent very recently, so we know that it was here. However, there is no evidence that the Oshur Kai is present anywhere in this system. Furthermore, the colonization efforts on planet Mars appear also to be very recent. And what is more surprising is that these efforts are conducted largely by the species that now inhabit the Earth, although the technology bears the unmistakable signature of the universe. Ancient Oshur civilization." After a brief discussion, the commander of the rogue planet, Archelia Vorn, issued her orders. Accordingly, the ship adjusted its mass distribution in a manner that made it appear as though the approaching nuclear detonations would be the cause of its altered course. When the atomics came, the cloaked vessel shifted. The course changed by a degree that a human eye could hardly see, a human life could not ignore. New vector, Earth. Same velocity. The news feeds on Earth didn't call it panic this time. That would be an understatement. Rather, they called it by other names, such as secondary risk update, trajectory revision, and expanded cone. But people aren't fooled by scientific technical jargon. They know when a shadow covers their house. The World Security Council floor felt like the deck of a ship in a fast tide for which they had entered unaware and unprepared. Arguments rose about what next when everyone knew there was no next. Trajectories produced by every observatory updated again and again until they converged into something that was not a hypothetical cone of probability so much as a line of certainty. And it said, the dark gray rogue planet is going to meet the bright blue world. But the second panic did not become a third. Instead, it became a strange quiet across continents, the hush that comes when voices have said everything and saying it again was just too painful to repeat. In that quiet space, unexpected things began to happen. Borders that previously were closed now opened their gates for convoys of fuel and food. Old enemies shared uplink time. In a basement in Tehran, a grandmother told her grandson that the world had emptied its dragon's teeth into the sky, and maybe that was the point all along. In a dormitory in Sao Paulo, a girl wrote a song about throwing bombs away, never again to fear. Somehow, nothing made sense anymore. On Earth, the countdown clocks were meaningless. There was no single moment to fear, only an approach that thickened like impending stormy weather approaching a small raft in the midst of an endless sea. Nowhere to go, nowhere to look, and nothing to do but wait for the approaching catastrophe. On Mars, The colony lights came on in a pattern that looked, from a very great height, like a monk lighting candles in preparation for a mass funeral. And above those candles, the rogue planet continued coming, turning its face, bringing with it the emotion of alarm on top of alarm, that the faintest, most dangerous thing a world can hold, the possibility that after ridding oneself of one annihilation, another was on its way.